Do you guys play Wordle?
Yep.
I
I'm
do
better
not.
than you at it.
I do not.
I just took the second loss in a row.
That's
I don't know
pretty
if it
bad.
means anything to you.
No.
Wordle, like I was on such a hot streak. Like I think I was a pretty consistent 4 or 5 score. I had a bunch of threes, a bunch of fives, a few fours. I was freaking killing it. I was like, yo, I'm a smart ass motherfucker. I got a great vocabulary. I can guess these 5-letter words easy. Last 2 days down bad. Did not get the word.
When I play Wordle, I legit feel dumb. Like I feel
That can't
not
be
my
the
normal
that
self.
cannot be the
Normal
only
self.
time in your life.
That's when I feel
That
out of my
cannot be
element.
the
Yes.
only time in your life you feel
Fuck
dumb.
off. But for some reason, I can't remember any 5-letter word. But I've
Yeah,
been
like-
averaging between 3 to 5.
Like 5-letter words are kind of hard when you got to put. But yesterday I was getting so tilted when I wasn't able to get the word that at the end I just started random. I like had 3 out of the 5 letters in the right spot. I
Right.
just could not connect the last 2, and then all of a sudden the word comes up and it's dodge, and I was like,
Yeah.
fuck. Like I was so irritated that I didn't get that one because it's not a hard word to get.
None of them really are.
No, like Cynic was hard. Ultra was kind of hard. Those 2
Also,
were
it was kind of hard.
tricky.
Yeah.
So is
Fine.
this like a very addictive game like Candy Crush, or is it?
No, it's literally half an hour of your day. Every day, new word comes out. It's like doing a crossword, but with one
I
word.
see. Okay.
And you get 6 tries to guess the word. It tells you exactly how close you are to it. It's
And
not
they got sold
addictive.
to New York Times too.
Yeah, New York Times bought it for 7 figures. It's not addictive, but it's addictive to like compete with people if you guys get into it.
Like
'Cause
a Scrabble kind of thing, right?
yeah, but like the word
Yeah.
only changes at 24 at midnight. You get a new word,
Hmm.
and it's one word for everyone. So everyone's like competing against the exact same level of difficulty.
And it's pretty crazy, eh? I was thinking how nobody spoils it on Twitter. People will spoil finales in like 30 seconds, but they won't spoil the word of the day.
I think people know that be like I'm sure there's people out there who do it, but if someone were to do that on my Twitter feed, I'd honestly unfollow them.
Yeah, but
Right,
when you
like
guys
them.
when you guys were kids, you used to look at the crossword. Did you try to look at the ansers when you couldn't get something?
I never.
When I
really
was a
did the
kid, I was
crossword as a
doing
kid.
crosswords. Yeah, what was your childhood like?
What the hell is your
From the
childhood
start,
like?
But I don't think they give these that day's answers anyways, right?
Just walk it back.
Yeah, they give the
Robbie.
pass. Holy shit, you're a geek. Anyways,
You guys are talking about Wordle, and I don't know what it is, and I'm the geek.
yeah, you're a nerd.
Yeah, you're the geek.
You just-
That's case in point. You're a geek.
crossword. So like when I was a kid, I used to do the crossword.
Hey, yeah, why not?
Brother.
Sudoku, man, all day. Sudoku.
I got bored of Sudoku still.
And when it gets
Hey.
easy, right? That's the problem.
Huh?
It gets really easy after a while.
I don't know. I still find it hard. I just get confused. I'm not
Yeah.
that bright, man.
Just talking? Well, what's the show about? It's about nothing. It's about nothing.
Just want these guys to know you got another thing coming, bitch. I'm still around.
So, in sad news, Deep Sidhu passed away. I'm sure everyone who's listening has heard about that.
That's just a 5-letter word. That could have been the segue.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
I'm trying to really be serious about this.
Way to go, Ranjit. Way to go.
I didn't want to like, Hassan Ali Ghalani is a great dude, it seemed. And you just went and so
No, not to make it light.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
so
so
go
yeah,
for it, Ranjit. Say your thoughts.
no. I mean, look, echoing the sentiments. Yeah, like he was a good guy. He was a rising star in politics. He was a lawyer, so of course,
he was he a lawyer?
smartest guy in the room. Yeah, he was a lawyer.
I knew his dad was a lawyer, and I remember his dad. He was involved in like everything going on in '84 because he used to help Singh with a bunch of cases, apparently. But then some people use that against him, saying he was turning Singhs in. So there was a bit of like this stuff going around.
Yeah,
where
no,
some
he was
people
a
had-
lawyer. He just didn't practice, but he went more towards like the acting end, and then I think, and
Was he a
this
prominent actor, Loki? Like I
no,
didn't
no,
know
no,
him
he
much
wasn't
as an
prominent.
actor.
No, he wasn't a
Okay.
prominent actor.
From what I heard is that he was getting frustrated with his career, then did law school, and then proceeded to kind of do representation for some of the people in the industry.
Mhm.
Yeah,
where
yeah,
then he got
exactly.
kind of told why don't you go act and kind of
I
give
mean,
him another way.
he was
But
always
very,
like
very,
a good-looking dude, and always
I-
like
yeah. I think the one
really
thing that
well
gets,
speaker.
I think it gets underscored that he was pretty successful. right? Before all this, that he was doing things, big things, but really sad.
So during the farmers' protests is when I really learned who he was, and I'm sure for a lot of people that was their first introduction to him, because it was definitely mine. And he was definitely the guy who was very articulate. He was the one kind of countering the narratives of this being like an old head movement.
Yeah,
He's like,
him and
no, look,
Laka.
yeah, together. They really got the youth involved. And what I think was ironic about Deep Sidhu was while he wasn't like a case study sing, he really like top, blasted the Sikhi aspect of it. And even in his passing, like his whole thing, they gave him like the funeral rites of like Gursikh, pretty much.
Right.
Like with all the organizations that stepped forward, all the Nahang Jathebandiyaan that kind of came out, they afforded him like a pretty Gursikh type send off, which a lot of people don't do, right?
Right. He was a pretty interesting dude, man, in the sense that him and Laka, I think they're credited with getting the farmers' protest from the confines of Punjab to the border of Delhi. They were the ones that really pushed everybody to go and make that big step forward. That was huge. And, you're right. Like, you nailed it. Everybody kind of credits them for the youth aspect. Him and Laka, again, who, were boys for most of the time. And then they had a splitting, I think, after the Red Fort thing. But it's really funny how, like, when he left Delhi, during the protest right after the Red Fort thing, there's a lot of people that were really like anti-Deep, calling him an agent and shit like that. And now I'm not going to be a hypocrite. There was a time where I shat on him. I walked it back, but in the immediate, Red Fort protest time when they took over, I was one of the people echoing what I was seeing on Twitter, and thinking, shit, like what the fuck did Deep do, right? But I walked it back. And
so at the time, a lot of people said that he gave the wrong pump. And they said, he's a doubt. He's working with.
He's a BJP plant.
He's a BJP plant to make this go this way, is to make him look bad. I think North America is in our current why am I starting with this word? Diaspora. A lot of people didn't believe it. They kind of took his side, saying, "No, we needed that. We needed that moment for like our collective anik of like, look, screw Delhi. We're taking this back." Kind of even from like the Panthik kind of aspect of it. So a lot of people here didn't really jump on that doubt thing, but Indians in India and Punjabis were definitely all over him. I remember there was that video where he was getting chased and people were chasing him out of the protest.
Yeah.
And it was like that video of him like jumping on a scooter, switching scooters, and people were like, "Oh, there's Deep, get him." It wasn't very ceremonious at all, like his exit. And then here, I saw a lot of tweets defending him, saying, "Look, man, you guys are making a big mistake, this, that." And then I honestly did not know what happened to him since then until he passed away. And I saw that he was running for politics. He joined Akali Dal Man.
Yeah, he was starting his own party, and then he joined Simranjit Maan. Again, my take on that whole, him getting shit on was, I wanted that January ride through Delhi to be uneventful and just show that we're very organized, we're very calm. I wanted to get to Parliament. It would show people that were pretty serious. And I always had this inkling. I was like, no Punjabi can come to Delhi and see the Red Fort and not talk about the time that Sikhs took it over. It's like a thing ingrained in us.
That they raised the Nishan Sahib over.
Yeah, I mean, I live pretty close. I have a house in Delhi. I live really close to Lal Killa. And I can't go by it without thinking that. My dad will crack jokes about it. Like, it's something that's very on the forefront of every Punjabi's mind. So I had this like nagging fear that Punjabis would, divert and head that way and do something silly, right? So when I saw all this happen and it was coming out that Deep on Twitter, that Deep is the one that led a group of farmers that way, and they're the ones who did something cool, like Anarchy on that end. It was sick, but as far as the movement as a whole, I think it detracted from the protest of that day. So I was joining the choir and shitting on him online. it was only a day later, a day or two later, when it started coming out that cops kind of set up barricades, impromptu barricades, and kind of goaded the crowd to go in that direction, which is typical. So then I shamefully had to walk back my statements on Deep, and I came to realize that no, he is the chill guy I thought he was before, the smart guy, the budding leader, right? And that's what it was. He's a budding leader in a vacuum where there's nobody under 40 that's really good right now. So
It's very small.
it is a loss on that end, yeah.
Small room for error when you're in that position as well, right? So
Yeah.
every miscalculation is going to be kind of exponentially worse. But I mean, from my view, as I might not be as versed on the small intricacies of the actual movement, but when I would hear his speeches and hear his voice, his intelligence, for a person like me, you could listen. And a person like that goes with him, and also the fact that he helped Sonny Diol
Get
his
elected.
campaign. And there's
Yeah.
a picture with Modi. Oh, another discussion. But generally, for me, that was the loss. We don't
No, he was
have
a great
many
orator.
leaders.
And you
Yeah.
don't have many people who can communicate well. We get a
No,
lot of
no.
people who want to be leaders, but communication is so lacking. Like, fuck, I could never be a leader, man. You guys hear me? I just stumbled through my words. I remember one person eloquently told me, they're like,
The irony.
I honestly thought you were smart until I heard you open your mouth. So being able to speak well, and not even speak well, but being charismatic, knowing how to deliver a message,
But also that,
that's
so
huge.
I said, and I mean, let's define that leader is a hard way to put it, man. And the difference I saw between him and a politician, for example, politicians have these talking points, right? So the first time you hear them, you're kind of like, they can evoke that feeling, but eventually it becomes it's the same script that they do
You
over
hear
and
the
over
same
and over.
speech over and over again.
Exactly, right? So you're just like, well, I can see through this bullshit. But when someone like him is there being raw, saying their ideas, and those ideas are coming across and hitting you and hitting those heartstrings, you're kind of like, whoa, this is a different level. So irrespective if anyone liked what he did or what he thought at a time, or he had that ability, and it's sad to see someone like that with that ability a loss for our community. And that's where I look at all these old leaders, and I'm like, or these these people in the punt, they're so-called leaders, they don't have that,
Mhm.
they don't have that, whatever that X factor is, if you will. And it's going to be hard to find someone like that over and over. That's why it's such a hard loss for the community, in my
And why it's
opinion.
such a rare that when people do find it, a lot of people gravitate towards it.
You know?
And you can
Yeah.
tell a lot of people gravitated towards him because just in the loss, like the amount of people that have come out and just express any sort of emotion over it, even people I knew who were apolitical or even during the farmers' protest, not that active, or like, oh no, him, we listened to, we heard him, his speeches,
What
like that kind of outcrying of support has been kind of crazy.
what about all the
It was a
people
lot
that were
higher
like
than I
shitting
thought.
on him, and now they're joining the
Yeah.
choir, and it's like, oh no, we're day one Deep guys.
But
Yeah,
Right?
it's kind of
It's pretty
sleazy,
funny.
but
I mean, I think my mom put it. I talked to my mom about it, and she was kind of like, "Yo, regardless of what you think, no one should lose their life, and not in the way that he lost his life as well. Obviously, these circumstances around that, but
No. I mean,
yeah,
let's dig into that. What do you mean circumstances around that? You think it's
oh, I have no
suspicious?
opinion on that. No, I don't know. I mean, I haven't dived into it as much as some other people, but I know I've read a few things that they're saying it could be an assassination, so on and so forth. But I'm definitely not the expert on that. So I've only read inklings of it. So.
What a stretch. I think it's a huge leap and stretch to think that this is some sort of ploy by the government to fake a traffic accident and get this guy killed. I don't know. Like, how do you make that jump?
I mean, so I've seen people bring up the fact that one, Punjabi politics, Indian politics in general, they're cutthroat. I known guys in the past who said, "Look, if I go to India and I die, it's 100% going to be set up by this guy because apparently getting someone off in India doesn't cost that much."
Yeah,
So,
sure. Like getting
right?
shot or stabbed, but like this is like caliber,
No, but there was
planning
one
an
other
accident on a
big
road.
there was some other politician someone was telling me. I don't know the details. I don't know much history about this kind of stuff, but they were telling me like this was a prominent politician, and when he got killed, it was a staged traffic accident because they're like those are the hardest to crack really or investigate, and they're the ones that happen so often that everyone just you know uh, throws them under the carpet per se. And then obviously when I heard the news, I was like, "Yo, this is sad." This
I
I
lost him
lost him
too.
too.
He's frozen now.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
Well,
And they're
Oh, he's coming back, and you guys were making fun of my bandwidth.
yeah.
my bad, man. I s- I heard you guys the whole time, but
Okay.
yeah. So a lot of times, like when my first reaction to it was I didn't think that it was a hit. I thought that's an unfortunate accident. Um, Everyone around me quickly went straight to it's a setup, and I was kind of like, okay, but why? And then people they went straight forensic. They're like, look at the car accident. That's not how you think. It's
I
late at
think.
night. You'd see the truck in front of you,
No,
And,
look,
and then more details start coming out.
Would you
and
say
then
it's just because it's in the country that it's in, and obviously the history we've
100%,
had. If it was a car accident here, you'd be like, oh, unfortunate. But there's always this
yeah,
kind of like, well,
that would,
maybe this happened, and that kind of obviously can be gasoline to a fire, and it could turn into something else. But I always forget his name. But who was that
human
prominent?
meat.
The one who went to the UN? Is that
No, I thought.
just is it just the Justice thing? Now I feel so bad that I forgot it. Yeah, he went missing after a speech at the UN
Oh
when he
no,
went back to India.
oh,
You guys should know this. How do
no.
I'm,
I don't know who you're talking about.
wow. Okay, I'm gonna.
I know
bring
who
it
you're
up.
talking about.
You guys
Hold on,
keep
you're
going.
talking candle in the
Man,
light.
I know who this is.
No, but like you're going back to your point about the country. I
Yeah.
mean, when Meat passed away, in a roadside accident, he was a politician.
Yes.
I don't think anybody was saying that it was the Indian government or some other party that got him killed and that was on purpose. No, I mean it's because it's India. People are even going to this stretch. But look, I traveled down that road many times. I have seen the dumbest, stupidest, fatal accidents on many occasions. Even on that
Just
road.
once in Colorado.
Oh,
That's
you're
what
talking
it
about
is.
just once in Colorado?
Yeah. So I feel so bad.
He
That I
went to
forgot his name.
he went to Canada, not the UN. He went to Canada.
No,
He
I'm
made
sorry.
a
My assumption was he did a speech. I mean, he went back and he went missing,
yeah,
right? So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
my point is saying that there's a lot of similar cases which do happen in India. So that narrative is there, and so you're not really surprised that people will gravitate towards that kind of a storyline. And when you combine with such a severe loss of a prominent figure, it's only natural,
Right.
And
Well,
like you
apparently,
said, if it was here, you wouldn't. I don't think we would blink an eyelash and even convey that it could be something set up. But there, you're just like, who knows, right? So
that was everyone's first instinct. And like I said, there's also that thing where as people started digging into it, they're like, hold on, in this picture, they said that they were getting drunk during the ride. Then people are like, well, he didn't drink. Or uh, they're like, they found a wine bottle. And they're like, how did the wine bottle get through the accident without any scratches? And it's not even in some photos, but it's now in some other photos. Then they're like digging into the fact that the truck that they crashed into didn't have any lights on it, and they just slammed the brakes.
you know what's
It's been
sad
like
though?
a
Either
whole.
way, it's believable. Either way, it's horrible road standards in India, or I mean, that's
Actually, the road is
and that's
nice.
what's crazy.
That road is actually really nice.
No road is nice. Okay,
Oh
I
man,
don't know why
it's
you did.
so good. It's
Really?
such a good stretch of highway. Yeah,
It's a 407 standard highway.
I would say it's better if people drove in their lanes and like follow
I've seen
traffic
people
rules.
coming the wrong direction on those
There's
roads.
highways there in India that have reflectors embedded in like the
Yeah,
lines, the strips.
that's old technology, bro.
No,
That's not
we don't have that. We don't have that at night.
Yeah, our highways are older. That highway got built when?
Let's say 2000.
Makes
But I
sense.
mean, regardless,
407
it
time. Yeah.
was definitely a sad thing. I honestly don't know whether or not it was set up. You can convince me that it was set up. I just don't have an opinion on it because honestly, I'm not a forensic expert when it comes to these kind of things. I'll take the word of smarter people when it comes to it. I do believe that India, anything is possible, so I'm not dismissing the fact that.
And don't you guys feel like it's a bit of a distraction just from celebrating who he was?
Yo,
Like,
100%.
I mean, what I feel and when I heard, and I obviously it invoked emotions in all of us, but I hope he is kind of a kind of flame for a lot of the youth to take examples from, and maybe out of this, another 10 leaders are born or come to the forefront, and that's hopefully,
And
and that's the results of this tragedy. But
and who gives a
yeah, I
shit
think we
if
move
he had a
forward, maybe.
bottle in the car? Boy, people get so
Cheers. Yeah,
defensive. Yeah.
what does that even matter, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to kind of the state thing was like they were drunk driving and stuff, and at the same time, it also kind of belittles like, oh, he's a drunkard type thing. They're trying to tarnish his image a little bit. No one's really having it, but again, to what I was just I guess what you even said was in India, it's so plausible that it's maybe even probable. But my first instinct is there's definitely some sort of bias there too, where when you really like this person, you're like, no, this guy was rising up. There must have been something going on.
Who doesn't
So
drink and
possibly.
drive
I mean,
in
like,
India?
I mean,
Yeah.
you
I mean-
can't eliminate all the possibilities, but the distraction of itself, or maybe the fear that it invokes
But I agree with you
some
that
people
hopefully it
in the
does.
community don't stand up or this might happen.
Yeah.
I think the more
It
we
scares
celebrate
people.
them and the more we, speak positively about him rather than the negatives and all the opinions people have, it might solidify him in the minds of youth as someone to kind of look up to and possibly say, hey, if you do raise your voice, if you do speak the truth, if you do, speak eloquently, be intelligent, even if it's a small change, hopefully you can cause some change in the world, right? So,
I mean, on the flip side, like you said, hopefully the good that comes out of it is more people are inspired to take up that line and really try to motivate and learn, even if that means that they learn something more about who he was, why people have these conspiracy theories, and then kind of jump into what else could it be, and I don't know, just educate themselves and more leaders come out of it. I think that'd be great.
Hundo.
Moving on, I don't know how
If
to
we're
go
talking
segue.
about changing the world, that's a good segue.
Yeah.
Fucking great
Yeah,
segue.
good try.
I mean, it's such a hard segue considering the.
Well, it was a
Light
sad
mood.
story,
Yeah.
right?
It was a segue. We'll give you that.
Well, let's get on to something more positive. It's me being a boomer, as Shinda would call me, or me getting older.
You know what's funny is
thinking
everyone
about,
around me calls me a boomer. So
well,
you being the boomer of this group makes me feel good because I feel like a kid, even though I have more white hair than you.
Fair enough. So I am thinking about trading in my semi-sports car, if you can call it that, or sedan. Sorry.
Tell us what you
And
drive.
getting.
Tell us what you drive, Robbie.
Why do I have to tell you what?
Tell us what you drive.
You gotta
Why?
drop the
I
name.
drive a car, a black car.
What's the semi-sports
Um,
car? Is it the Cadillac? The really
No, it's not
fancy
the
Cadillac
Cadillac.
that you had?
No, it's not
I
that.
remember that caddy.
Anyways, I don't buy cars to show off. I buy them for myself because of the way they drive.
Oh,
Okay, that's part of the conversation. It's
Okay.
important.
Okay.
And so the dilemma that I've been faced with is, in my job, I am driving quite a bit, and I'm getting to a forefront where I either keep the car because of the recent
Gas
increase in
hikes.
values, right, and get rid of it. And gas has gone crazy.
Yo, gas is
The
insane.
price is insane lately.
Robbie, do you have to
97.50.
pour premium in your car?
No, it's diesel.
Oh,
So
okay.
you're still getting
Diesel,
some
yeah.
savings.
Yeah.
I paid
Yeah,
$97.50 on my regular fill up, and I was.
Oh man, if I had bought the V8 version, forget it. I would have been crying to the gas station.
I have
every
to
day,
put in
but,
premium in my car. It's $1.90 right now.
Oh, so you drive a nicer car than me, probably.
I
Premium.
drove a Volvo. It's
And you know
fine.
what? It's only going to
Volvos
get
are
worse.
nice, man.
With the whole Russia-Ukraine thing, the prices are only going to go up.
Yeah, so I mean, with all these changes, and obviously the car market the way it is, it's finally kind of opened me up to thinking about EVs and electric vehicles and possibly getting the market. The only thing that I always stopped me was my hatred for Tesla.
Why the hate for Tesla? Is it a personal thing against Elon, or is this just?
No, not so much Elon, man. But I've been a car fan since ever I can remember. So for me, one, they don't look cool. That's just to me. I think the Model S that came out way back in the day was cool. Model 3 does nothing for me. So
Yeah, it's
it
a
looks
very
like
generic.
looks like a Mazda. I mean, no offense to Mazda owners, but that is just a normal sedan. It doesn't look like what is it, top out at 75,000 Canadian? Like, it's a crazy.
It doesn't have that car. Doesn't.
Oh, sorry, no, that might not be the Model 3. That might be the Model Y. Whatever. It's expensive, is what I'm getting at. And so, there's been this kind of lull in the market where the other car manufacturers are still getting up to speed or catching up with their technology, or at least kind of manufacturing a product that can semi-compete. And what's happened now is I think just in the next year or two, you will see a flooding of that market.
Well, I mean, if you watch the Super Bowl, all the car ads were electric.
Yeah, man, it was crazy, right?
The Super Bowl, every single car ad was an EV.
GM's ads were like all over, and they've been doing it big. But yeah, like I think it's an American stat that 80% of registered electric EVs were Tesla up to this point.
Well, I mean, they
got in the market share. Yeah, exactly.
They got the market share, but that just shows you like 20% were the others. Now what's going to happen? It's going to switch. And so the technology, Tesla has the tech, right? I just don't like the way the car looks.
But Tesla also open patented most of the tech.
Yeah, but I mean, I have no clue into automotive manufacturing, but clearly some of those car designers are going a different way. And recently, Hyundai has come out with a car called the Ioniq 5, which is kind of like an SUV, but it's being touted as one like a huge change because it's actually being, I mean, affordable is obviously a relative term, but it's reasonably cheaper than buying a Tesla, and you get pretty much all the same tech. It can charge. I think it's 18
A-
minutes on one of the chargers that you can be available, and it gets the same range.
And that's the thing, man. Like everybody wants an EV, or at least thinks that every household should have one electric and one gas. But it's a fucking bitch of adoption when no good EV car is under 50K. They're all fucking
Yeah,
over. They're all like
they're all
75K
over.
plus. Like
So
that's
this
retarded.
this one starts at 45 Canadian. I might be wrong on the exact
No,
figure.
you're right. You're
And
right.
yeah, so then it qualifies for the $5,000 grant. Once
They
again,
still do
could be wrong,
rebates.
but sorry,
They still do rebates.
Federal rebate.
I think it's if the car is under a certain value. But it's kind of opened it up because look, I'm not really. The older I get, I could care less for sports cars, and
I mean, I'm not
it's all
driving
about.
fast
I
anyways,
race
so
everybody.
Really?
No, there's
I'm
always that moment
so
you want to give it, right?
I
You have
race.
that
really, you
in your
guys.
Volvo.
Ever since I gave up the Beamer, it's just been I'm taking my time. I've had cars pass me on the road, and I'm just like, don't look at me.
No, but
Uh,
even with your kids, right? It's just like I just want this thing to work. I don't
I
care
love the
about
fact that
anything else.
Well,
an
with my
SUV
kid
in the
especially,
winter.
when it's just me and my kid, and we're at the red light's gonna go green, I was like, "But the vroom vroom," I'm like, "Vroom vroom vroom vroom." That's it, man. Floor it.
Yo, my daughter got so angry. It was yesterday or the day before because I was showing her the Hyundai. I'm like, maybe we'll get this, right? Dad's gonna get a new car. And she's like, "You're gonna sell the." She calls it the fast car. I'm like, "Yeah, dude." My daughter started bawling, fighting with me. You got to keep that car. Get rid of the truck. That's my car. It was just so funny, right? I'm like, even my kid
Bro,
knows it's fast, right? So
my kid is a straight snitch because the one day I was speeding, my kid comes home. He's like, Mama, Papa was going fast. And she's like, what? He's like, Papa didn't stop at the red light.
Shit.
what?
I was like, but when you're a snitch, shut the fuck up.
It's
then
snitches,
my
bro.
then my wife's looking at me and she's like, what's he mean you didn't stop at the red light? I'm like, look, I was going fast and I sped through the red light or the yellow light. It turned red while I was going through.
Amber. It was Amber.
It was amber. And my kid was like, no, Mama, it was red. I was just like, look, man, allow it. It happens. And then I'm
Give
saying
it a
this
little
while
Trimby, right? Shut the fuck up.
I say this. I got a freaking speeding ticket in the mail from these boxes that are coming up all over Brampton.
There's one by your house.
There's one by my house. I thought that's the one that booked me because that one flashed a few weeks ago, and I'm like, I got booked. So when I saw the letter, I'm like, okay, it's from there. But it was from a different one that I didn't even catch. So they're everywhere. I think I'm
Bro,
gonna get another speeding
you
ticket in
just
a
made
month.
this whole speech about how you're not driving fast.
Dude, I was literally going 65 in a 50.
It's
Yeah,
probably
well,
a
you're
40.
15
They're the
over. You're
40
still. It's
zones.
called
No,
speeding.
it says on the ticket with the speed. It's like you were going 65. That's what the camera caught you at on a 50. And I was like, yo, that's not much. One, I thought the road was a 60 clearly. That's why I was going. I
You're
ought to
still
slow
speeding.
down.
I'm so confused.
No, I mean I would if
That's like officer. I was going 125, but I
no
thought it was
going
okay.
65 in a 60 zone isn't speeding.
60 now 65 in a 50 zone is speeding.
It's speeding.
Yeah, but I didn't know it was a 50
Anything
zone.
10
I'm saying
over
I
the
thought the zone
speed,
was
you're
60.
speeding.
Whatever.
There's a lawyer coming through.
Either way, I'm just afraid of checking the mail now because I feel like a lot of these letters are going to start coming through. So
But
now
I mean,
I'm
isn't that where like the tech would come in? Like my it's my truck that tells me where the speed cameras are. But as this tech and electric vehicles get, imagine your car is just driving it automatically. Just
stop. Just like you're not going to get a ticket.
no, it just turns down the speed. Like hey, speed camera coming up, and it kind of
I
auto
mean,
adjusts.
honestly, just it beeping and telling me, hey, this is what the speed is in this area, would be a huge plus.
I got the speed limiter on the Mac. Like I have a signal that comes up saying you're going too fast.
Yeah, I have
so
that
I
too.
I set it at 160. It does go off quite often. So,
I mean,
but I
Waze
think
did
that's
that.
where I think electric
But-
cars, man. I haven't driven one, mind you. So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be pretty scary considering how fast they accelerate. So.
I've driven a
I'm just
few.
waiting
Oh man, they fly. They're nuts. You like
So
literally into the seat.
So is it a dad move to now like buy a generic EV and get rid of a sports car? Do you
I
think
think so.
sports cars are kind of on their way out? Because look at these things. Some of these like Teslas go like 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Like, it's insane.
But there's
But
something
I
to
think
be
you've
said
kind of gone
about
through it.
yeah.
You've had your sports car, so you getting another sports car, that itch is gone, right?
And there's something to
Yeah,
be
but
said about getting a
so
V8,
hold on.
guys.
So here's there is something. V8s are sick,
Yeah.
but I have my eye on one, but that's another conversation. But no, I mean, for me, when I bought my car, honestly, it's not for other people. That's the one key thing. Like, it's not to show off. I've never had that intent. I'm not that kind of guy, but I love the drive factor. So my car, the way it worked, is about 400 foot-pound of torque, but then I also get 1,000 kilometers to the tank on the diesel. So, the torque numbers are great. It's a peppy car.
You've
It's fun
lost
to
me as soon
drive.
as you got nerdy about cars. Like, I like cars. I like looking at cars. But the second you start talking about torque per pound
Seriously?
of flesh
Torque
or
is-
whatever, I'm like, dude, is it a nice car? Like, I like Mercedes cars. Like, I think they're the best looking cars. Like, they have like the best design to them, right? But you ask me any detail about the engine or whatever, I'm like, I could give a shit. Like, I could care less about what's in there. It's not like a computer to me, right? For me, a car just needs to look good.
But a car is a
And drive
computer
good.
now. That's the thing now. And
Yeah.
that's what's changing, right? So whatever. I mean, torque is just the that gut check you get when you mash the pedal down. And so, the car's been great. I didn't really buy it for anybody else. I bought it for myself. I put my kids in the back. But yeah, man, now I look at sports cars. I'm like, what's the point? You're going to spend in the excess of over 100,000 just to drive a little bit faster on a 50 kilometer speed limit road and get a speed ticket when these these
Cameras are everywhere.
well, these cars are crazy, right? And it's I'm getting to a point where I just want to be comfortable. I don't know if that's me getting old.
100. Like, honestly, what I want is I want the car to drive me. I don't want to drive.
Really?
I want an override, but I want the car to do most of the driving for me.
That's a whole nother debate. Would you guys be comfortable with the car driving you? Are you think you're there
Eventually.
yet?
Yeah, I'm okay. On the highway or something,
man.
yeah, it's okay.
Like the Super Cruise stuff that they have.
Yeah,
coming.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, you know what it is? It's like, I would not be comfortable with the car driving and me in the back seat.
No.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be in the backseat. I still want overdrive control, but I also know that I get so lazy that I would start checking my phone midway, and then that's when I could.
You'd be one of those guys sleeping in the front seat, right?
Yeah, so I got to be careful with that tech too.
No, but
I like-
but it's crazy, right? Like, obviously the Tesla fanboys are like, no, that's the future. But I'm like, you would never get in a plane on autopilot without having someone in the front watching the system. You have that reassurance that there's someone there.
But wasn't the
in
stat
case-
that 99% of the flight
It is.
is automatic?
It is.
But there's always a
100%.
pilot there. There's always a pilot there, sitting there. Right? Like
Would
this-
you get in a plane knowing there's no pilot?
No, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be on the first flight. But if after a few years people are like, "Yo, no problems," I wouldn't think twice about it.
I think right now, like it can go to one point where you only need two pilots or one or two pilots on the flight. So there's just one pilot there at any one time in the cockpit. It'll get to that point, man. Like AI, these things fly themselves already, anyways. But now you just need one person as a failsafe instead of a whole crew.
I can see it being in trucking, right? Like, you can have the trucking, everything's automated. The guy's just sitting there, literally going along with the load as security and a last minute, and you can
Isn't
pay
that
them.
the irony about the whole thing is that Elon Musk, who is pro truckers, is releasing an EV truck
to get rid of them. Yeah,
to get rid of the truckers themselves.
EV trucks aren't gonna happen for a while, man.
I
think-
Loblaws bought like a shit ton.
I swear to God,
Walmart bought a bunch.
I
I'm
think
pretty sure they're closer than you think, Ranji. Like, I wouldn't be surprised within the next 5 years we start seeing
They're too expensive.
them on the road.
They're too
it's
expensive.
the weight too, right? It's. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm not gonna say. I think we had this. I don't know, when did we do our podcast last? Was it over
2016,
3-4 years?
man. 2016, bro.
That's crazy. Yeah, because I think we were saying EVs are still 5 years away. They're still 5 years away.
No,
And-
but I think the
And look,
Elon trucks,
look
the
where we're at.
Sony's
We're
on their
still not
way.
ready for EVs. The grid is not ready for everyone, every house to have 2 electric cars. We're
getting
not
there.
ready.
I think
the
we're
air
more there
conditioning's all
now
going at the
than we
same
were
time,
5 years
we
ago.
black out. What?
Look, 5 years ago, I only knew about a few rich guys and their parents owning them. Now a lot of my peers own Teslas. So I think we're a lot further
So
along.
now your peers are just rich. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
mean, that's probably
They
Still
all-
rich guys.
They all got SIBA money, right? That's what it was, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I've seen a lot more. I know a lot more Tesla owners today than I did 5 years ago, and I think the Tesla truck isn't the Tesla heavy truck. the big
But mind you,
truck. I don't
remember
think that's too
Tesla.
far away.
Tesla is a flaunt, right? It's just like the BMW 3 Series back when we were growing up. That's what Tesla is now. No one's really buying these. Like, for me, for example, I'm driving over 100 kilometers a day, every single day,
Mhm.
right? So 6 days a week minimum. That makes sense to me. why I would get an EV.
Yeah.
If you're going down to get your grocery, because why are you getting? Do you need it?
No.
I don't know.
Look, man, I honestly want a Ford F-150, and I have zero use for that. That someone's like, "What the hell are you going to do with an F-150? Friggin' throw your backpack in the."
Overcompensate for my wrench.
I mean, look, the F-150. The few times I've been in the friggin' pickup is like, I love that feeling of being above traffic.
Yeah, and look, the only reason I wouldn't get one, even me today, is the gas.
No, but if
and the EV one coming out.
Lightning.
Have you guys
EV one
seen it?
coming out,
Lightning.
I might make that move. I have no
here's
use
the
for
thing.
it.
Here's the problem, right? And it follows the same thing into Tesla. It's over $100,000. We're not there yet.
I mean, Jalo.
Even Rivian or whatever.
Look, man,
Rivian's.
I can see a lot of friends owning that.
Rivian's over $100,000 too.
Yeah.
Which normal?
Look, man,
What I'm trying to say is like that Hyundai.
we're
car,
well past our 20s where we worked in factories and our teen years. I don't think it's a bad thing to spoil yourself here and there with a few little toys.
Buying a $100K car, that's a fucking stupid financial decision.
Have you seen inflation lately?
Bro,
Have you?
7% that December, yeah.
How are we going to save? How are we going to do this? I mean, you're talking about
Look,
$100,000 cars. I'm talking
How do
about
we save? You
Yeah.
tell your kid, Puta, you're taking care of me. You can throw me in an old person home when I can't piss on my own. But that's my retirement plan.
Yo, man, inflation's gonna be huge, man. I don't think people see what's coming. I mean, in the early '80s, if you saw how people lived, we are gonna have to go through some hard times. But I mean, my question to you guys is that what things are you willing to give up in your life, your luxuries, that you think will be a sacrifice due to inflation? Is there anything that you kind of do now where you can see yourself cutting back on?
Where I go to grocery stores, I'll change those up, go back to no frills.
No
I
frills.
might have to go back from Fortinos to no frills.
Yo,
That'll be
Punjabi grocery stores going back there, right? So,
Yeah.
Buddy, I remember growing up, we were a no frills family. And the second we moved to Castlemore, it was just
Fortinos, man.
straight Fortinos.
Fortinos.
I went to a no frills after shopping at Fortinos for so many years. I'm like, yo, the vegetables, everything here is just crowded. Fortinos nice spaced out.
Yo, we were in Malton. We were a Longos family before Longos got expensive. The OG Longos, and then it became Price Chopper, and there's Food Basics, and then obviously
we were like a no frills family through and through. But it was.
Could you give up your Uber Eats? Talking about food and inflation, do you think you can give up that service now?
Eats Pass.
I've cut down on it.
I have it too.
Hold on,
makes sense.
But yo, if you have the Aeroplan card, the Eats Plan
I do. That's
included.
that's the one I have. Yeah, that's the one I have.
Yeah.
So it's all included.
I've cut down on Uber Eats significantly since December. I think it was a conscious effort because I realized how much I was spending.
So what are the things that you guys kind of know that you do are bougie or maybe an excessive thing that you might have to cut back? I don't think a lot of people have explored this in our generation. I think travel is one for sure. And I think we're spoiled with the idea of getting on a plane and going somewhere. I don't think that...
COVID really ended that for me though, right? I haven't done much of that since COVID.
So once that COVID money runs out, right? Because when everything opens up, it's going to be like the roaring 20s. People are going to want to spend all that money they've been saving. But, eventually as this is going to hit the fan.
Amazon Prime, I think, has been...
Yeah?
Like, I buy stuff off Amazon just without thinking about it.
I think whiskey. I think a lot of people are going to cut back on their whiskey choices as well. I've been seeing a lot of single malts on Instagram. Yeah. And I know those bottles. I'm like, you can't afford that.
I mean, I've never had that. I honestly think I'm pretty frugal, to be honest. My biggest expense is tech. I haven't been spending too much on tech lately. I was about to buy a few TVs for the house. But
TVs are cheap though, man. To be honest,
they're a lot cheaper. They're a lot cheaper now.
TVs are way cheaper than it used to be.
Like I'm
Ranji's staying silent. Like he's a lawyer. He's like, whatever. I'm gonna always have money. Look, he's not even saying nothing.
I just need to do a shitload of drugs and just work 24 hours a day. I'll do great.
More billables. We're good.
I legit finished billing before we started recording. What do you mean?
Like my biggest expense right now is internet. Like I pay.
No, but that's a necessity now, right? Like that's what's crazy. Like I was talking to my parents about this and the price of goods going up. They never had internet. Obviously, came in after. Cell phones. We all have our own cell phones. We have all the services. Netflix. Like you keep adding it up. You're like, whoa. Actually, convenience is a huge part of our life, and we don't.
So you have inflation, right? Yeah.
Say it again.
Everybody has their own car.
Yeah.
We used to share cars growing up, man.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, growing up, me and my brother shared a bedroom for the longest time, and then I was trying to tell my wife, like, look, the boys can share a bedroom. We don't need like that extra room. And she's like, no, each one should have their own room. Like, look, man, for the first few years, let them bond by sharing a room. And I don't know. we also grew up in a townhouse in like.
But that's such a like I think that's such a normal thing, siblings sharing a room. But you tell other people now, and obviously the housing market, we've talked enough about that. But buying a 2 bedroom is not. It's like not the thing to do. I have 2 kids. I need a 4 bedroom house.
But talk about inflation. Like we have like monetary inflation, right? Like our cost of our dollar or the worth of our dollar doesn't go near as far. But what about inflation in living? Like that's one thing I think about now too. Is there's certain things that I do. Like I'll grab Timmy's pretty much every morning, even though I can make coffee at home. And it's that whole, well, if you stop buying coffee every day, that you're saving $365, maybe more, $500 a year. And I've never really bought into that whole way of living or saving. Because I'm like, look, the real thing you got to do is just find new ways to make more money.
That's
Right?
what I do. Like I had that thing. I was going, oh, new year, I'm gonna start saving money, and then I calculate. I'm like, $300. All right, just go work a few more hours, right? Like that's the and we're lucky to say that it's a privilege, but even I think that is gonna have to be cut back to some degree. Like
Like rent.
I think you know what it is. If you've been that's our age bracket's 25 to let's say late 30s, and you've been making money or you started making money, you have not been budgeting the last 3 or 4 years. I don't know any of my friends that budget
No.
or they're spending on certain things, right? Like one of my buddies, he doesn't he cooks all his meals and he's you could say he looks frugal, but then they'll go to the bars and they're spending tons of money. So it's like, well, our expenses are almost the same. I think we're kind of a generation, especially if you're doing reasonably well, you've never had to think about, okay, should I spend $5 or shouldn't I spend it? And I think that hopefully doesn't become a.
This touches on something we spoke about, I think, a couple episodes back. We're like uncles say we're the generation that's going to lose the
Everything.
houses
All their
that
money.
they built. Yeah, and it's true. It's true. We're going to be the generation that our parents gave us houses. We inherited houses, and we blow the equity in them, and we end up retiring in condos. That's us.
Being put in homes.
Because we had Instagram lives.
I mean,
No, but like I'll tell you a story. I was at the grocery store yesterday. I was thinking about all this. I'm like, oh, I got to be a little bit, So I'm in Loblaws. I'm looking, and I was in Superstore the day before. Loblaws is the same soap is like $1 more. I'm like, I never even noticed it. I never you don't pick up on those things because I haven't really been looking. Right, just buying it, throwing it in the cart, and going to the cash. And then even my PC points, I'm like, oh, I got to use these properly now, right? Like I'm trying to say, and it's just such a foreign feeling, man. And I think about what our parents did. I'm like, honestly, we cannot emulate it. I don't even want to try to attempt it.
We used
And
I'm
we
like
don't
my
have
parents
the
kind of still
resources.
do it.
cut
My parents
coupons.
still kind of be like, but I need to buy this. Make sure you find it like the cheaper one. I don't need the better one. But in my head, I've always been buy the best of
Buy
what
the
you
better
can
one.
afford
Yeah,
because it'll last you longer.
but
It is
talking
a
about
tricky question.
it's hard, right? But talking about buying the better ones, did you guys hear about the Arizona, the Coyotes in the arena?
Biggest team,
Bro, what is
holy
going on with
shit.
this team?
Talk about saving
Reggie,
money, right? Ranji, this is you, man. What are your thoughts? Why don't
It's
you give some context to it for the people?
it's a fucking joke. All right, so here's a joke. The Arizona Coyotes, they didn't pay their lease, so the arena kicked them out.
that is really a thing that happens. Like sports teams forget to pay their bills.
Well, this one did. A lot of sports teams, they own the building that they're in.
Yeah.
The Coyotes are not like that. So they were leasing out an arena in Glendale. So Glendale's like 45 minutes or an hour outside of, Phoenix and Scottsdale, I think, too. So first of all, it's a bitch to get to. Over all these years, they forced their fans to do it. They stopped paying rent. They're having financial trouble. They tried to cut a deal with the arena. The arena's like, fuck off. They tried to cut a deal with the city of Phoenix. City of Phoenix not cutting them any slack about getting a place downtown. So Bettman, he's been like double, triple downing on making sure a team stays in Arizona instead of, sending them to,
Quebec City.
Quebec City,
Quebec, yeah,
or even like
yeah.
other cities in the U.S. Like send them to people have been floating Houston. It's the biggest city in the U.S. without a hockey team. They have the Rockets there. Convince the owner, make a good decision. Say, hey, look, you already have a basketball team. You can put a
that
hockey
actually
team
makes a
there.
lot of sense with
Right?
all the migration happening to Texas. I mean,
Huge.
That's a great idea, actually.
Yeah, but there's all sorts of things. He's just fucking. I don't know what it is. I don't know what dirty naked pictures the the owner has of Bettman, not fucking I don't know who, but he's not moving the team. It makes
The
no
arena.
sense.
So I mean, what
Yeah,
they've settled on. Yeah.
tell them where they settled. I can't even
Well,
say it.
all I've seen
I
is a
can't even say
picture,
it.
and so someone's like, "Oh, this is our new home," and I looked on Twitter, and if you've been to the the Powerade Center, is that a good comparison? Would that be kind of
Center
I,
what we're
is
talking
I said the
bigger.
Hershey
It's
Center.
bigger.
I
It's
said the
bigger.
Hershey Center, but
Hershey Center? Well, it had benches, and I looked. I'm like, well, this must be practice facility, and I looked into it. That is their new home.
So for context, whoever's listening,
Yeah.
they're going to a college at the
Oh,
ASU.
it's college. Okay.
Yeah, it's a college, and it's the on-campus arena that they have. So these guys,
That's embarrassing, man.
it's 5,000 capacity. 5,000,
What does that say about?
but
the
yo, it'll make the arena look packed.
buddy.
Like
but that's not the
it's
point.
always
You're,
gonna.
you're a
It's gonna be
professional.
loud.
You are a professional. Oh, and they're putting $22 million in improvements in the building. They're spending money on it, and they're
These
only
guys
there
are playing
temporarily.
just an outdoor rink, man, and calling it a day. Like, what's the point?
Stupid.
You
I
know
mean,
what? The TV rights must be huge, though. I mean, that's the only way. If you don't need attendance and you don't need money from your gate, your TV deal has to be what's kind of carrying the team.
Yo.
Or why would you continue the business?
no, but
like-
they also have this thing where the richer teams kind of float the shittier teams too.
Oh,
Yeah, in the
shit.
league. So
it's an advantage to be.
I mean, look, it's not an advantage because you're not spending up to the cap. You're always going to be shit for a while. But yeah, like as far as management and operationally, it can work for a while. But it's just such a fucking joke. I mean, think of you as a professional. You've played in shitty barns your whole life, and now you're in the NHL. You have nice locker rooms. You have showers and facilities, and then you go to Arizona. It's like, okay, there's a urinal.
But you know what's
That's
crazy?
about
Like certain college teams in the U.S. and college, obviously U.S. sports is huge. Their arenas must be bigger than this. Like a huge
A football.
campus. Yeah, like no, Michigan State has a hockey team.
Yeah.
I'm sure like they
Yeah,
have.
it's
facilities
better,
there.
way better facilities.
That's shameful.
I mean, the only bonus is for these players is they're gonna definitely hook up with college girls, and they'll be at the games too, going wild, right?
Might be problematic though, bro.
So is this
Yeah.
gonna be Bettman's
Problem
legacy?
with that.
Is this Bettman's legacy? Like, is this gonna mar it? Is this what he's gonna go out as? Is he's a guy who wouldn't leave Arizona?
Possibly. Did we just lost Ranjit? I think. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, it does this thing where it says you're inactive, so fuck you, Discord.
Discord
Yeah,
is
I mean
not
he's
easier.
well, he's not. I don't think he's gonna be remembered fondly, anyways, no matter what he does. But man, yeah, the hatred for the Canadian market. That's obviously some backroom deals going on there. Obviously, the Habs don't want another team in Quebec. But
And Toronto
think it
doesn't want
affects
another
Montreal,
team
It just-
in the
neither does
GTA either.
Buffalo. Hamilton makes great sense to me, and Hamilton would be.
The Leafs won't allow it.
Leafs won't allow it, fine, but maybe another team in
I
Canada. There
can't
has
see why not.
East
I can't
Coast,
see
man.
diehard
East
Leaf
Coast-
fans
the East
going to
Coast-
Hamilton.
the East Coast
Hamilton's so
could be
hated.
another team. Better
Like,
than
Hamilton's so
Arizona.
hated. Or you're like saying New Brunswick or
Yeah, man. These are. I mean, they love their sports. the
Saskatchewan.
hockey.
Why can't Saskatchewan
Then-
have a team?
the New Brunswick Hosers are presenting. I mean,
Well,
I don't
I
know.
think the Marlies play out on the East Coast, don't they? Is that the
I
way?
thought they were played out of Toronto.
Or they
Like,
used
the
to.
exhibition center.
They
Oh,
used to play like back in the day. Like they would go over there and have games. I don't know.
I was remembering back when Jim Balsillie was trying to get a team in Waterloo or something.
Yeah, I remember
That was
yeah.
huge. That was huge.
he
Yeah, he-
basically
he
leveraged his
did-
entire company. And that was the end of Rim.
That was the end of the rim. Yeah, that
That was what he's remembered for. That
But
he
yo-
went so after the sports team that he sacrificed his company for it.
But isn't the crazy thing? Like, look at the difference between the NHL and the NBA. The NBA is like a fine-oiled machine, man. Seriously, like it is. Maybe the NFL is maybe just top tier as well, but I mean,
NBA
NHL's
marketing
a
is
joke.
insane.
and it doesn't-
NBA marketing is so good that we spend more attention, and there's a lot of attention on trades and off-court drama. What's going on off-court, like the Harden trade, Harden for Simmons. I remember during that whole trade deadline, Shams and Wow back and forth. Every group I'm in, they're just sharing their updates. And when the Harden Simmons
it's a
trade
drama,
happened,
right? Because you're not really concerned about the operation of the league. So there's actual stories being told. The trades, the personalities get to come to the forefront. Whereas in NHL is not so much. But yeah, man, the Harden trade was crazy, and what him and Simmons are saying is just like It just adds to it, right? It's turning into pro wrestling, which is great, I think.
What was interesting for me was the Kyrie Harden beef. I didn't even know they had beef.
What's their beef? I don't know. I don't know the context
So
of it.
Kyrie so Harden wasn't a fan of Kyrie taking all the time off apparently, and not really being there for the team. And then in practice, Kyrie would like go 1-on-1 against Harden, chirp him, call him old, call him washed up,
Yeah.
beat him every time, convincing them they're like, "Yo, Harden could
Who
not
likes
beat
Kyrie?
Kyrie."
Let's be honest. Who in the NBA likes Kyrie? The guy's
I'm
toxic.
KD likes him. KD said, "Yo, Kyrie's my guy,"
KD
so he
wants to
took
win, man. That's all.
KD took Kyrie over Harden. I'm low key a Kyrie fan, but I do realize he's a bit of a crack, and he does some weird shit here and there. But whatever. If
But I
whatever
don't
floats
think,
his boat.
Harden worked in the system, and that's all it is.
I just
right?
want to make a point. I don't think it's the marketing that makes the NBA so interesting. It's
players?
the access you get with the players, having free will or free reign to say whatever they want on social media, whatnot. The fan gets what they think is behind the scenes access into the person's life. And if you think about what's happening with the F1 right now, they started off with this show on Netflix called Drive to Survive.
Awesome.
Amazing. The very first thing I started watching
I'm
at the
so
pandemic.
left out on Sunday mornings because all these guys are just talking about
I
the
am
F1 races.
now. I understand F1. It's great, but it's not even like the sport is amazing. It's the show. You understand that wow, this sport has storylines. There's beefs. There's drama. There's competition, even amongst teammates. Right? It's crazy. So now you have access, and this is the fastest growing sport now in the world. The fastest in Canada. It's grown by like 100%.
I want to get into it.
But
I've
you
been
know-
wanting to watch the show so I can watch it because I'm like, I can't really watch the races until I watch the show.
No,
I
you
feel like
can.
I don't want to appreciate it.
You can. It's
Can
just
I?
yeah, you can.
Yeah, I can now watch the race because I know the drama. I know what the strategy
I
is.
feel like I need to know the
understand.
drama first, and then I can
No,
go into the show.
The way the show
Or
is
the show
done, it's like
for
a
the thing.
independent story each episode, right? So, no, you definitely can. But I mean, the Amazon tried this with the Leafs.
They've done it with a lot of sports where they keep
the Canadians,
are
and,
not
but you
cycling.
watch it and you're just like, man, like either there's a filter going on, and
There's
it's
a
just
filter, exactly.
and it's
There's
just
a
this
filter.
kind of this kind of like staunch kind of like hockey is so serious.
But that's not to say
That-
that hockey doesn't have personalities. Like
No, it
Marshawn
does, but
is
they get to shine outside of the sport, right? It's like it's weird. It's not the same, right? It's not part of the building the brand. It's shunned on, if you will.
yeah, I guess
there's
there
a lot-
is a culture around hockey where if you talk too much or you
yeah,
try to
it's a bit weird, right? And
So
you know,
just to go now, the PGA Tour, they're doing something like
the
F1
Saudi
Drive
league,
to
yeah,
Survive. Yeah.
they're-
So that'll be
that whole
interesting as
mix
well.
thing, that's a whole different thing.
no,
saw
I
this
mean, it's
that he
just
wrote.
if you give access to the personalities and the stories, and then you give insight to all the little intricacies they need to have to to elevate themselves in the sport, it gives you a different insight, if you will. You're attracted from a different way. Like I used to watch F1 from years on, but now the storylines make it so much more interesting. Even the storylines between the bosses,
Yeah.
the race
The-
directors or the
yeah.
pit staff, and it's a whole nother level, right? There's a whole nother layer to it, and that would be great if we got access in other sports. But yeah, the hockey, man, it's just like they just don't get it. And there's a whole now youth of social media. I know Austin Matthews tries to.
McDavid.
He wants to do that kind of stuff, but it's filtered.
Shindo was about to touch on Brad Marchand. Brad Marchand is pushing the league on their social media front. He says stupid shit that starts to trend, and now it looks like they're
right? He's been around a while.
yeah. Now they're like, oh shit, like this is cool. He says stupid things, and people like it.
And
so-
people like it. I mean, I saw what he did to the Pittsburgh goalie. That thing was hilarious. I couldn't make sense of it, but I thought it was hilarious.
He's feeling a little like invincible. I can do whatever the fuck I want, and then he got a little suspension now.
The Pittsburgh goalie was trying to like give a fan a puck. This guy goes through, takes the puck away from the goalie, and says no, and just shoots it across the ice.
And then punches the goalie and the high sticks him too in the
I used
face.
to hate him, but he's so funny, man. Such a
Yeah.
character.
I mean, look, man, you need personalities in sports. I think that's really what makes sports worth watching.
And he's good. That has to be the
You
difference.
got to back it up.
It can't be like a
You can't
Sean.
be a Pat Beverly.
No, it can't be a Sean Avery or Pat Beverly. You can't be a Sean Avery where you're just.
I hate Pat Beverly so much right now. I just so annoyed by this guy as a human being.
That's a bit harsh.
Yo, Avery,
man,
Avery has
is
a
it?
good career, man, off the ice. And I've
No,
heard
he
his
does.
podcast. He's fucking.
But he's
he's
a
smart.
personality, right? Even the guy
Yeah.
who does the Chicklets podcast, is it Barstool?
Yeah,
There's
Barstow.
the former Coyote, and he's doing the
Yeah,
podcast. This
Paul
personality
Bissonnette.
there, you're kind of like, man, like where was this when you're
I was
playing?
watching.
Like,
It's
but
like the
it's
best
I wasn't
sports
allowed to.
podcast there is in
yeah,
on
exactly.
Spotify. Yeah.
So
Who is? I'm gonna. So who was it? Who's that guy that used to play for the Rangers?
Okay.
That's
Just one
that's
Ranger.
pretty broad. No, but like this guy, he went on when Tavares got traded, and Islanders were booing him.
Yeah, Avery. You're
He
talking
went
about
on
Sean Avery.
okay, yeah. So he has a personality. I don't
no, but
remember, but I
imagine
just
like there's like certain personalities that should be like celebrated as funny, and some of these
you know
guys
what's crazy is hockey actually has a really cool like subculture. Like when these guys talk, they're slang, calling everything by E, Jonesy's.
Yeah.
yeah.
Names.
I remember playing
They should bring that in.
My favorite thing was playing Warzone with a bunch of hockey players. Because grab a loadie, yo. I was like, what? A load? It's just a way like the hockey subculture is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
It doesn't exist in too many other sports, and I think hockey's doing a big. I think that's what Bettman really needs to do is ease up on the players and give them a bit of more of a mic.
but it's all hockey. Like, it's just not even the players, right? Look at the broadcast teams. You look at these like hockey night, and they're so serious. And then you go to the NBA. You got NBA on TNT. The best
And then you got
sports
Chuck.
You know what's fucked about hockey though? Like they're so stiff neck on that. But when it comes to their drug policies,
Yeah, this party
on players,
was-
they were so liberal. Like they never tested their players for like weed and coke. They're like, fuck it, just don't make sure it doesn't get in the news, and we don't give a fuck.
I don't care what
Do
you do.
whatever the fuck you want.
But with the sportcasters, NFL on Fox, great panel. You watch them; they're funny. There's segments that tie into everything, and then you look at hockey and you're like, I can't. Who sits there like out of us? Who sits there and watch the analysis? I don't even like anytime it's on. I turn it off.
I mean, they had what's his name? That old guy, Don Cherry, for a minute, and he was their color, but he got a little too anti-color, which caused some other
No,
problems.
he said a lot of they. He liked to say the word they.
Yeah, so
Those guys.
or maybe he was just ahead of his time with pronouns,
I
right?
guess.
I
Just
would love to
quickly.
hear about the protest.
Oh man, he's probably thinking the good old Canadian boys.
Yeah.
Good old
They're good
Canadian
old Canadian
boys.
boys fighting for freedom. We need to get out there. We need to support
Like
these
Tag
men.
King.
There's good and bad people on both sides.
We see what's going on in Russia and those filthy Europeans. What we need to do is really double down and back these good old truck drivers.
Before we jump into the truck drivers, let's all give DeMar his flowers because that boy is playing. He's
Man, I love DeMar when he's on Toronto. I was sad that we traded him. I was sad, but I don't regret it, if that makes sense. Because
he's playing at another level right now. Right?
I want him to get MVP. I really, really want to see him get MVP. I know it's a tough stretch because it's a really competitive thing right now. But I would love to see DeMar DeRozan be MVP this year
and get a ring, man. Remember, they're number one in the East, and if that happens, awesome.
Look,
and the whole narrative with the Ben Simmons narrative right now is that he has mental health. Everybody forgets the stuff that DeMar went through. He has his own issues, right?
But he was the one who kind of brought mental health to the forefront.
But he's still succeeding.
And he was honest about it. He's just like, I'm not trying to make this my thing. I don't want to be. He's the depressed player in the NBA.
Yeah.
But he's like, I'm willing to talk about it. I'll make comments about it. But I don't know. DeMar is everything I like in players, like the nose to the grindstone type of player.
Is he bringing basketball back away from the threes that
or like his mid game versus like the 3-point,
right? Like all the analysts are so happy about him because he's not just popping threes everywhere.
I remember one of the biggest knocks on DeMar was he's not shooting enough. He's going 2 inside, but now that his shot, he's shooting more than 50%. It's an unheard of stat, like for a player to be shooting as well as he is.
He's going to the line like 8 times average in a game.
Yeah.
So
I mean, look, I'm a huge DeMar fan. I freaking bought a DeMar DeRozan Chicago Bulls jersey.
I'm pretty quiet.
Yeah, I'm putting in a bet right now, seeing if All-Star break. Damn it, that's what I was checking. I was like, time to put some money on DeMar.
I don't know.
No, man, look, I love DeMar. I loved what he did for our franchise. I love what he's doing. I like the fact that he's found a home. He was kind of like in San Antonio. He wasn't really settled in. He really seemed like he was getting moved around, and he was going to become just this, piece that you put into your team and you use as a trade piece. But
like a B player, but
a B player.
he's come back, right? I mean,
MVP. So
exactly.
look, I want to
Well,
see him get a ring. I want to see him, and I think he should get the ring and be like, "Yo, I did this without Toronto." I don't know if he needs to chirp Toronto at all about it.
He doesn't need to.
He
No,
doesn't need to.
He
he
had
is
to
a little-
leave. He had to leave to get to his level.
he's on
Yeah.
another level now, right? So
Look, yeah, I 100% agree. He wouldn't have
and
gone
he's
there
over,
while playing here with Lowry or
and he,
everyone here.
and he overcame that mental health. So on the topic of mental health, let's talk about the bundle of the week now.
Pat
A
King.
gentleman named Pat King. Comments, guys, if anyone wants to give context to what he
All right.
said or who this guy is.
Look, first and foremost, I've been on the anti-Pat King thing, I think, before it became a bandwagon. So I just want to put my hand up and say that's me. I was anti-Pat King before it was cool to be anti-Pat King.
I just found out who he was yesterday. So
Podcast
Yeah.
was Andy Pat King.
Yeah,
Was it?
no, our Pat King, I came across some of his videos, and I remember coming across it because a lot of people were like, you can't say that just because you saw one Nazi flag at the protest that it's a Nazi protest. I'm like, you're a fucking organizer. Pat King's a friggin' organizer of the whole convoy. People are like, he's not a organizer. I'm like, he's on the friggin' every piece of research you do on who helped put this convoy together. He's one of the organizers.
He's on
He's
the
one of the
letterhead.
people that a lot of people, yeah, like one of the people everyone looked to for, what's going on. He's the guy who like pumps them up. He's like their Josh.
these are
This
some.
guy, yeah, like this guy openly talked about the vaccine being around to eliminate white people.
Yo,
Like,
Sterilize them, and make.
yeah, sterilize them and stuff.
But
This guy's family.
Where do people find like this was the guy? Like surely this was online, right? Like, look, we do more reviews on an Amazon product, and when we look into read people's reviews and see the background, none of his supporters look into this guy?
So that's one thing that
Let
really
me
irks
get
me.
some context. Pat King is a leader of one of the 2 or 3 leaders of this protest. He
Truckers,
recently
let's
Baj.
Canadian truckers protest. I just want to
It's not fucking
the
truckers,
truckers bit in
right?
there.
All right. He's an Alberta guy. He recently a video of him surfaced. I think Baj. Is it Boz? How do they want to be
Baj.
called? It's
Boz.
Baj actually, but Buzz.
Yeah,
They found a video of him. I don't know how many years old or how old it is.
2019. It's from 2019. Sorry for that burp, but yeah, it's from 2019.
He's basically shitting on Six because Six.
They're taking over Alberta.
Ironically, the trucking industry.
They took our jobs.
They've taken over construction because, they hired their own cousins. He gives an anecdotal story of Punjabi family buying a business, a store in Sault Ste. Marie, and they, instead of hiring employees, they save money and probably made the business profitable by only having their family work there. Right?
A well-operated family business.
Yeah, well-operated family business. Okay. So anyways, I don't understand the yag meat bit. I don't know if he's trying not to get sued, and that's what he thought.
No, he doesn't know how to say Jaggy, man. This guy's an utter and complete dumbass. He thought it was like Jorge, right? He's like Yag meat.
Anyways, so this video came out.
Knows no bounds.
This video came out just a couple of days ago. I posted it on my Instagram. I'll take the opportunity to shit on anybody who supports this stupid movement, because if you're rubbing elbows with these guys, it's okay. Let me just put it this way. This whole protest is a movement for white supremacists, white nationalists. It's taken the excuse of it is, they're anti-mandates, but they went and protested at Ottawa, which only has one mandate. The provinces control the other ones. But they chose to make a stand at Ottawa because they just fucking hate Trudeau, because they see him as a lefty. They don't like Canada making a turn to the left. They feel threatened. The white race feels threatened. And the mandates is just a big fucking excuse. So if you're dealing with Nazis and these fucking haters, and you think that they are your boys, that we can all be happy, kumbaya in one big tent because they're anti-mandates, well, no, you fucking made a bed with some fucking dumbasses. You would basically make a bed with fucking Modi or Indira Gandhi. You're a piece of shit, and that's how I feel about it.
Grinds your gears, eh?
I mean, I think ever since it was co-opted as a truckers movement, it's just pissed off Frangie. He's like, I got more trucks in our friggin' in our parking lot right now that are in Ottawa. He's like, our company could have made more of an impact if we wanted to.
Actually, yeah.
I just don't get what it's about anymore. I mean, if the
It's
mandates are coming
honestly it's a
down,
F Trudeau thing,
what
right?
is it now? No, I was pissed off about the Windsor Bridge, 100%.
Yeah,
Because
100%. I didn't like
so
the bridge stuff
my
because that actually affected the economy.
exactly. So there's two questions I
And
have, right? Like,
go ahead.
should the MPs? I forgot the interterm leader for the PC party. I forgot her name, but
Candice Bergen.
I think she has pictures with Pat King, doesn't she? Or they're sharing a dinner or
Yeah,
something
she
like that.
met with them. She
Yeah,
was
so I think that should be a
day one of the COVID or day one of the convoy. She was out, posing with them, saying they're good old Canadian fellas who have a gripe. And then maybe a week later, she's like, "Look, we need to end this protest, and the prime minister needs to grow a backbone and get these hicks out of here." And she didn't say hicks, but she's like, "We need to end this protest, and you need to get these guys out of here."
I would
And today
be
she was like, "I can't believe you guys brought the police in this."
yeah, she's still supporting them, even that. But it's like, is
It's
anyone
so
going to oppose
backwards,
her?
man.
Is anyone going to hold their feet to the fire about the Pat King thing? Is that going to be?
People are like, every tweet she does, people post that picture
Oh,
underneath.
really? Well, okay.
Liberals look. One, Trudeau's an idiot. I don't want to get too
No, we're
caught
not.
up with calling these guys idiots.
Yeah. All politicians are idiots. I think we've agreed on that.
At the end of the day, you can
Your friend,
but,
everyone's friends included. Everyone's an idiot.
But yeah,
You're stupid to go into that career and stupid to think you can make a difference.
I mean, whatever. I'm not going to get too deep in that. What I think is stupid. One, I thought Trudeau was dumb when he labeled these guys. I don't even know what he said. Where he called them a minority. A fringe minority. That was stupid. It came back to bite him.
Yeah.
When he jumped in and compared to a Jewish MP, he's like, you're the party that poses swastika as well. She's a Jew whose family survived Auschwitz. There's certain things you got to just be careful. And I think Trudeau puts his foot in his mouth so many times that I really don't like
he's
Trudeau,
stupid
right?
because he doesn't need to speak. They're doing it for it. I mean, let them
self-destruct.
Yeah,
let them be
exactly.
conservative.
You're stupid. You don't have to comment on everything, right? So, I mean,
as far as the convoys, I've kind of been back and forth on them because I'm like, look, everyone has a right to protest. Protests are supposed to be inconvenient to.
Well, that's
people.
my exact question, and the term that keeps coming up, and I'll ask you guys: define peaceful protest in Canada. What does that mean? What does a peaceful protest actually mean?
I think a good protest that brings about any sort of coverage and change isn't just walking down friggin' Main Street for 10 minutes and going home. That's a parade, right? You got to have some level of civil unrest.
No, that's
in your
sure, fair enough. But what's peaceful? But I mean, they keep saying
peaceful is just violent. You got to just not be violent. I think as soon as you start punching people and stuff, that's when you cross the line.
So for me, it's disruption. If for example, the Windsor Bridge, you're disrupting people's lives. Is that still peaceful? You're affecting the economy.
Peaceful.
Is that still peaceful? Because that would still.
I think it is.
Let's not conflate peaceful with acceptable. What's an acceptable way of protesting? I think that's what we're really getting at, right?
But I don't think there really is an acceptable way of protest because when the Tamils took over the Foro or the Gardner, a lot of people were pissed that they weren't able to get to Toronto or it was a super inconvenience, and the police they cracked down on that one quick. I don't think protests by nature are going to be convenient for anyone. So I think the bridges were an acceptable form of protest, as in they were a good form of protest because it was disruptive. They're just not one I think helped their message of,
were they trying to hold the supply? But I mean, by protesting on the bridge like that and holding essentially the bridge hostage and thereby the economy, that is beyond appropriate, isn't it? It's not peaceful. That's definite. And they knew what they were doing.
I mean, they did.
For me, a peaceful protest would have been to be there, but still allow traffic through, allow the trucks through, and
yeah. I mean, look, do it like a strike, right? I mean,
exactly.
Rotating.
If this was a trucker's protest, the only mandate that affects him is the one from the U.S., which says if you're going to come into our country with a truck, you have to be vaccinated. So restrict it, slow down traffic at the borders, maybe just to 1 or 2 lanes. That will be inconvenient. It will have an impact. It will send a message, but you're not shutting down the fucking border. You're not shutting down complete trade and putting the economy back billions of dollars. That's really just, with this impact of COVID, making convenient, only open it up at night. You can have lines there, but like completely shutting it down or like sitting there with a bunch of guns and trying to make a plot to kill a bunch of cops at the border. Like, this is stupid. This is fucking crazy.
What is it? I mean, what is this? I don't even know what it is anymore, right? So
Yeah, like the Ottawa protest honestly doesn't really bother me when I'm not in Ottawa, so I'm like, whatever.
I've seen you've been
Yeah.
liking a lot of their stuff, Shinda, on Twitter. I ain't gonna lie,
I
because it
mean,
pops up my feed. Shinda Singh likes this. Shinda Singh likes that.
see, I'm very like both ways because my main political leaning is civil libertarian, right? I think everyone has a right to reject certain things. We should have the right to say, I don't want a vaccine. And I think businesses have the right to decide whether or not they want to serve people with a vaccine or not. I don't think the government should jump into policing these kind of things. At the same time, I just don't see this convoy stuff as help. One, I just don't like the organizers, right? So that's one thing. Another thing is when I see people who don't have high school degrees in science or high school diplomas, never took a science course, barely got through university, like friggin' some of these guys, 8 years at York, friggin' doing business administration, all of a sudden saying, well, I did my research. Motherfucker can't read a science journal. This dumbass can't, like, these are people who
Seriously.
do not have, like, the prerequisites to actually make an opinion, an
No,
informed
and
opinion on certain topics.
if
Their
they did
medical
Saying, do your
research.
research.
Their medical research stops at Joe Rogan's podcast.
well, if they did a lot of
Yeah.
research, and they always say that, well, I've done my research. Wouldn't you research into the people you're following into the fire?
That's what I find
And
hilarious.
that's what I think is so funny. I mean, like I said, we look more into Amazon reviews on a product and reread
Bill
them and
Burr-
figure things out. And whereas
Bill Burr had a great little segment on his morning podcast the other day, where he was just like asking a question in the air. He's like, "What is this?" And he just Googled it, and then he's like, "Hold on, what about this?" And he's like, "For the folks at home who are wondering what's going on, I'm doing my research." He's like, "This is what you dumbasses call research. You literally Google it, and you take the first link, and you copy and paste and paraphrase what you say." He's
but
like,
that's a common thing now, right? Like I'll have people tell me what their condition is before I even get a chance. There's like 10-minute spiel on what they think they have. I'm like, okay, so let's get to it, and then now I have to disprove not only a condition they've obviously given themselves, but disprove that what they're doing is not the correct way to proceed with their care, self-diagnosis,
and then
right? So
we're also doing this thing now where we're giving people who have really no reason to be an authority on a source, like a nutritionist putting doctor in his name and now friggin' telling you that vaccines don't work. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, you're
Bob's
friggin'
idiot.
like, you tell people to do healthy, like that's your, and I'm like, sure, there's probably some sort of traits, right? But like, who the hell are you to be giving like a viral experience to? You've never taken a science course. You literally just opened up a
but
hutby
you
and
know what's
said, "Oh,
crazy?
a
Like a lot of like all the
or a
family doctors.
naturopath and that." No,
No, but even the
this is
family
so
doctors
whack.
that come out, they're not virologists. The ones that
100%, I
come
know.
out, and they haven't studied viruses. They don't treat, like, specialities keep going, right? And not one specialist is the forefront or the most knowledgeable in one thing. So the fact that anyone thinks they could just go on Google and pull up a research paper and think that that it's
Look,
fact.
I'm not saying that they're all like that, but I think we need to be giving certain weight to certain people, and a lot of people who shouldn't have a voice in this are very, very loud. Um,
I mean, a lot of, like, look, I think I've said this before. If God forbid, anyone's stricken with cancer, nobody asks what's in the radiation or what's in the treatment or what's in the cocktail that they
No,
might
just
give you.
put it in my fucking veins.
Put it in me, because I'm scared of that word.
so,
And I
but
think the fact that COVID possibly, if the mortality rates were extremely high, along with it being very contagious, I think you would have had a very different reaction to vaccine and vaccine mandates. I think you would have seen people running, give me that thing. If it was something like smallpox, for example, we'd be like, yeah, sleeves up, let's go. But the fact that most people did get over
no,
it,
but
or are
I
able
feel
to
like
get
at the
over it.
same time, during the times of smallpox and stuff, I wonder if there were people who called it a inside job, but maybe they didn't because they didn't have social media
No, but
friggin'
I think
polluting them.
during Spanish, like,
We didn't have YouTube stars who
half your family
used to
dies.
making jokes.
You're not gonna doubt the actual disease when half your family goes, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
different, right? Whereas in now, like, even I had a family doctor recently, and same thing. It's one of those, anti-vaccine and so on and so forth. And I just turned around and told her, I'm like, hey man, so can you ensure that my kid who actually contracted COVID um, doesn't have a high fever and doesn't have XYZ, that I don't, lose sleep at night? And she's like, well, everyone gets sick. I'm like, no, but I don't want my kid to get sick. You're not understanding
That's
me,
another
right?
thing that
Like,
people
you just
kind of,
I don't care that people I don't want to be sick. And having gone through COVID and gone through the breathing experience, and I was out of breath for like about 2 weeks, I don't want that. I don't care that I
are you
got
sure that
over it.
just
I just
wasn't because
don't
you're
want
old?
it. right? No, it's not old.
old and out of shape. Um,
Well, I
that's
gained.
another thing that
I
you
think I'm
could.
the only guy who gained weight during COVID. I'm gonna lie to you.
No, I'm there too, man.
Uber Eats
I
was on the
mean,
fly. I was like, give it to me,
Yeah.
whatever. If this is the last time, let's go.
I haven't gained weight, but I definitely lost muscle. I'll put it that way.
What?
Um, I mean, I'm not near as strong as I was pre-COVID.
You got it? It hit you bad. Do you feel weaker?
I haven't had COVID. I'm saying
Oh, you haven't
pre-COVID.
had it.
I haven't had, like, knock on wood, right? I don't know if I've had it or not. I can't say definitively. I've never had the symptoms you guys had. So if I had it, it would be totally asymptomatic. There was one day where I felt really fatigued, but people are like, no, when you have it, you know you have it. So I haven't had that.
Yeah.
But the one thing, I'm just saying, I've been getting a lot lazier. I don't move around as much. You know how they say muscle weighs more than fat? I've definitely put on a lot more fat and lost muscle. So I'm at like the same weight, but a lot weaker.
I got
That's
this.
what I was trying to get
What's
even
at.
this
me-
inactive stuff? What was that?
It got you too.
It got me too.
But even me, man, it's been a month since I had COVID, and only now do I start to feel like my normal self. It's been a tough way back, man. Just the energy's not there.
It ain't no flu. I'll tell you that much. It ain't
Yeah,
this
it's
shit.
not.
But
Yeah,
here's-
people say that to me all the time. Oh, it's just a flu. I'm like, yeah, I'll trade you flu for that any day, man. Let's go.
I know.
But here's
You
the thing: when people say that, I'm like, motherfucker. I would tell you that if you told me, "Yo, stay inside for a month and you won't get," I might do that. I'll actively avoid getting the flu. Who do you know goes outside and starts licking light posts because it's just the flu? Like, what type of world do we live in where we're like, it's just the flu that you're like, well, I can take the flu. I mean, if you told me going to this Raptor game, you're gonna get the flu, I'd be like, you know what? I might skip the Raptors game. Like, there are things that I would skip to avoid getting the flu. If I go to someone's wedding and you're like, here's a trade-off. There's a 85% chance you're going to come home with the flu. I would double guess going to that person's reception. And if I did, I'd, wash my hands 5 times and avoid breathing on people or breathing if someone is breathing on me. Like, I don't want to get sick. Like, what is this? Yeah, it's just the flu. It's not. You motherfuckers like getting sick. Like, what is this?
Yeah, no, I hear you too, man. They're just dumbing it down, but nobody actually enjoys being sick. I guess the argument is it's just a flu is just a counter to getting the vaccine, right? So,
And I don't honestly care if you believe in the vaccine or not.
I don't care either. Yeah, that
I mean,
irrespective.
my whole thing was I don't like being sick, so I'm going to get the vaccine. Experimental or not, it doesn't really bother me. I do a lot. I drink Coke. I do a lot of shit that I don't know what's in.
The best is anti-vaxxers who come in and they list off their medications, and you're just kind of sitting there like, yeah, if you only knew all that stuff that those medications can actually do to you. It's the same. It's like, I don't know, man. It's maybe it was the speed of the release of the vaccine that got people really apprehensive.
I think that's all it is. I think that's what.
No, I think part of it. I think people have been home and they've been going stir crazy, and they've had a lot more time to surf the internet.
Possibly, there's a lot more knowledge out there, but I mean, I
not even knowledge. I think they've been going into corners that they normally wouldn't have gone, and they've gone down rabbit holes.
Yeah, rabbit hole. That's the term. Yeah, rabbit hole.
Right.
But no, but even with me, I had an older patient, and he said that to me. He's like, the speed of it just is incredible. And I just said, and I'm not an expert in any of this. I don't even pretend that I know anything. But the way I looked, I'm like, yeah, but computers back 30 years ago for genome sequences and all the sequencing that has to be done would take, I don't know, years. It does it in like 15 minutes now. Like we're living in a different time, right?
Even
also think part of it,
the other piss off for me was Joe Rogan had the inventor of mRNA on his podcast, and he said I wouldn't give it to kids. Or mRNA is bad for kids. I was like, shut the fuck up. mRNA is a technique that's been developed, right? Like I said this before, multiple universities. It's something developed for fucking years and years and years. Like there's no one inventor.
No, it's a very rare thing in science that you have one person, or he would have been a Nobel.
I remember when
exactly.
Before the vaccines dropped, and everyone's like, "We're really close to a vaccine." I remember telling people, I'm like, do I really want to be the person who takes version 1 of the vaccine? Like, I don't like driving version 1 of anything. Like, the version 1 of everything has some bug in it or something, right?
You want
Maybe I wait for version 2.
Yeah.
I want them to patch it.
Well, I mean, those are the people that got clinical testing. They signed up for it, and they had version 1.
Yeah.
And you did not get version 1, right?
Yes.
So.
But another thing that kind of comes into my mind with that whole thing is they're like, the reason that this vaccine came out so promptly is all the red tape that normally stalls these things and holds them up for years and years and years was removed. There was a government incentive of, we need to get this out. What can we do to prevent the holdup? It's not that there was less testing done. It was the bureaucrats who normally take 2 years to get back to you and
there was
approve
money
your testing.
and money
Yeah, there was
and there's
yeah.
money. That's a huge part of it, right?
Political will to get these vaccines approved worldwide was there.
And everybody in the world was working on it at the same time. So
I mean, yeah.
what do you expect?
If we put this much attention and like effort on cancer, I'm sure we'd make great headway.
100%.
I mean, some and to be fair, I know it sounds very dark. Just some things aren't. It's not time yet. We don't have the research or the means, and we might never have it. But we do the best we can, and I think that was the thing with the vaccine and going into the unknown and not knowing about, to have a virus or anything within 6 months, 7 months changing on us and trying to figure out new treatment plans. It's taken us to this point where I think doctors know what they can do when someone comes in with COVID. They give them a fighting chance to live. They kind of know what procedures. They're trying the best. And in America, obviously, they're using some more techniques and maybe some more medications than us. But it's
But now they got a tablet, right?
What I'm saying, it's
coming out.
it's an evolving process, right? It's not something like, oh, why wasn't this solved on day one? It was never going to be.
Yeah.
So you do the best that you can. Look, I respect
One question I have for you guys though is, after all this and like how heated we get, even talking about like all the different people we deal with and different opinions, has there been people in your family that you've butted heads with on this stuff, or how relationships changed?
all the time.
Not in my family, but at the start of hockey picked up in September, October. There was one guy who was really anti-vax, and people didn't feel comfortable, playing with them. So we had a sidebar chat about how to make a compromise. I got added in because I'm the lawyer on the team. So I was really added into the chat. I had no opinion on it, no context. I got added to the chat. They're like, "Yo, lawyer, talk to him," and I started making a couple of points, and it was put in his mind that maybe I was the one spearheading it. So I got blocked and deleted off his social media and shit like that. Yeah, it's really serious.
No, I have family on, or family of family, whatever you want to name, extended family, on social media accounts, and the reposts and it's all there, and they're not vaccinated. They were having parties like during the height of it, like house parties with like 20 other and you're just like, cool, man. Like, what can you say? People are.
But has that caused a rift? Like, I guess that's
No,
what
it's a personal rift, because you look at people differently, and I do have one very close member of my family who refuses to get vaccinated, but I think we've just come to terms with accepting that the choice is yours. But I'm very firm at, don't complain about the consequences. I don't want to hear that you can't go in a restaurant. I could care less. That's your option, and that's what the government's proposed. And if you don't like it, go talk to your MP. Blah blah blah. But
I mean, give it a month. You're going to be back allowed.
Exactly. So it's all over anyways, right? Like, who cares? But it's not like, I don't care for that. But if you medically did not want something, well, that's your right. But the consequences are the consequences, and you deal with those, right? So I think we've accepted not to talk about it. So it's just a point that doesn't come up. But the social media people, man,
don't talk about politics, religion at church. Now it's don't talk about politics, religion, and COVID type thing.
Vaccination status.
Yeah, man.
Vaccination status. Yeah.
I mean, you look at Dougie, right? Like, in his own family, what he's going through.
I mean, he's telling people to wear a mask, and his daughter like, I hate masks.
Yeah, she's just. Well, she came out something today about like how the testing. It's all part of like DNA collection. I just read the headline. I'm like, I'm not even going to click on it. And
I read the headline. I'm like, at this point, there's no point in reading anything she says. I thought she was kind of a dumbass before.
But what's the term? The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, or something like that.
But he's kind of been doing things one way, and
I don't think he's the sharpest tool in the shed either. Okay, so
I don't know. I'm a Ford fan, low key.
Seriously, yo, if this was in the Desi community, let's just say it was just in our community, a banda like Ford, would he get to the top echelons of our community as a leader?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes. 100%.
Really? I don't
look
think
at the leaders our community elects. Our community does not elect the president.
No, not in the context of our political system here. Any uncle can get up and have enough friends to vote him in. I'm just saying, as a leader, some people in Ontario look at him as he is amazing.
I guess your question is, would he get like deep Sidhu?
Yeah, or is he uncle status, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, uncle status goes a far way. He's definitely not a deep Sidhu type of guy. He's not articulate like that. But any
what is
uncle
he?
who's
Oh, wait, what
articulate,
is he? Let's talk about his what's so great about Doug Ford?
Here,
All right.
here's
Look,
what Dougie's.
here is who I compare to Doug Ford. Y'all know my boy Muggsy. We've talked to Muggsy. Everyone knows Muggsy.
Yeah.
He's a guy you can call when you need something done. Everyone calls Muggsy. Like, yo, I'm stuck at the airport. Who do I call? Muggsy. I'm in traffic. Yo, my car broke down. Yo, call Muggsy. He's a guy that people felt comfortable calling because he could help them. And I think people like that in our community rise all the
That's
time.
also true, but I'm sure if Muggsy has something more important to do, he's not going to come to your house and shovel you out of
No,
your driveway.
no,
right?
no.
And that's my
Muggsy
problem.
does.
Muggsy,
No, Muggsy does.
Muggsy's a great guy, but what I'm saying is when you're the premier of the province, you got to have your
His charm is that he looks like he's the average guy next door.
He's not though, and that's the funny thing about it.
That's the charm. That's
rich. He's got he's been able to pull that off. So look, man, I bought into Ford's hype. I hated Ford when he was running for leader of the CPC. I was advising everyone, or not CPC, the PC Party of Ontario, anyone who would listen. I was like, look, man, Ford's not the guy to back. He's not intelligent. He's not going to win. He's very Trumpian. He's so far from what Trump is that I have a lot of respect for what Ford is, even if he was a big hash dealer in the 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he's a flip flopper, man. He can't stick to what he says, right? So
I feel
it's
like
all populism. It's populist.
yeah, he's scared to go against the right, and it's clear in everything he says and does, and he's just not. And the funny thing is, he thinks that's the majority of his voter base.
He goes up against the right all the time and butts heads with them.
He has to.
But he's
scared of it as well. He doesn't go all out and say no because look at his, like I said, his family is
I think he's
particular
careful
cut
about
of cloth, if you will, you know. But
I mean, he's not cutting out family for it, but at the same time,
Patrick Brown, man, I still think Patrick Brown, like,
leader.
Yeah, 100%.
He still has a chance, maybe, but I don't know. On that note, man, hold on. You were so big on telling us about Mandalorian last week. We talked about it without you because your mic sucked. What were your final thoughts on Mandalorian?
Well, firstly, I got a new mic because you assholes. I'm just gonna put that out there. These guys.
You no longer sound like you're
and
talking to us on your friggin' cell phone from underwater.
I actually, it was on your advice, and I did show you the actual headset, and you say, "Oh, yeah, that looks great. Get it, got it." Typical IT person retracting, not accepting the fact they probably don't know the technology, and like everything else, like his programming, it's probably porous. It's porous. You've told me that. You've told me that. And lawyers should not really be advising me on tech because they still work on paper.
You made another change also. It wasn't just the mic that you changed up. You actually got the friggin' app working.
Yeah, because I did my own IT. You know what? I figured it out. Wow.
I spent more money on decent internet.
So that's what it's come down to. That's fine. Yeah. Anyways,
this guy makes 4 changes and then he's like, it blames the
headset. You guys called me a boomer last week and said, you know, that I wasn't tech savvy anymore. Took offense to it, especially coming from Ranjit. Shindai could probably accept it. You know, I've always accepted he is the front man on this, but the lawyer who's sitting there.
You don't know what Wordle is, bro. You don't know what Wordle is. Okay,
I do know. I don't have time to play. I'm not like you lawyers where you're billing everybody and not working. You're just.
I'm thinking about my client's file
and pulling up the template that you're going to give every other client.
Man,
right?
the word of the day is fail.
So let's say Mandalorian. I love the season finale. I think Ranji shares my sentiments, and not so much. But
man, that entire show was. Oh, hold on. See, this is where this is my biggest problem with it, and you guys just 100% exemplified it. You called it the Mandalorian and not Boba Fett.
Whatever. It's a continuation.
Right? Well, you called it the Mandalorian to be honest.
I called it. Shoot
me. No, Shinda brought it up as the Mandalorian.
Oh, you did.
You repeated it. You repeated it because you didn't see the difference.
Sorry,
right?
Jedi mind trick worked on me.
It was a Mandalorian 2.5. I like the Mandalorian. The whole Boba Fett thing. I just didn't dig it. I didn't dig the production of it.
There's lacking content there's nothing out there right now, so it's one of the best new shows. You have to admit
that. And Shinda, to be fair, your fucking criticism is a shitty production. That's a stupid comment.
And that's not a lot coming from you, knowing the production of this podcast. I'm just slipping that in.
No, that intro is solid. Anyways, no, I love the production. I do share your one grievance that like it's too much Mando and not enough Boba. I think that's
And even though the Mando was only the last 3 episodes, I still felt like he overshadowed everything that happened before.
yeah, because the other grievance I had is like it was way too much flashback into like living with the Sand people.
Whatever.
That needed just one episode, but whatever.
It was entertaining. I'm happy
was
they did it.
entertaining.
It was
Yep.
better than anything else. But a few new
There's
shows,
so much better stuff
new
out
things
there.
to be excited about from the Super Bowl. First thing I'm super excited about is that Lord of the Rings Amazon series that's coming out in September. It's far ways away, but I am hyped up for that.
They actually got a new video game too that
Really?
goes in with that whole mythology.
That's so cool. Because their video
Elden
games
Ring
have
or
been
Elden Ring?
pretty interesting.
It's
Say the
so
least.
highly like anticipated that I'm actually thinking of maybe trying it.
And so that's the first thing that I saw. The Halo series is coming out
I'm
as well.
so excited for that. I saw
I'm
the
excited for that
trailer
as
for
well.
that.
It should be a good one.
I almost feel like that's gonna be better than Boba, but at the same time, I'm such a Halo stan right now that
But I
might
think it should be better than Boba because it's like, I mean, those Boba series and the Mandalorian series are not like, they're side stories. They're like side books. They're just kind of offshoots of the main tale.
And
I
there
love
goes
it.
Robbie.
There goes Robbie.
Just DC'd right away. His internet said you've maxed out your internet connection for the week. This is what happens when you don't buy the
Ni parda.
This guy's probably so like annoyed right now. Literally, Robbie literally just hard cut and he's back.
What was that?
Hey, Boomer.
It's
Hey, Boomer.
Yo, pay your bills. Like what the
Discord
hell?
straight up just said you are not given permission to be in. Like these guys just kicked me out.
It just hard cut you.
It's this guy named Craig or the guy recording it. But yeah, they're offshoots, and that's what I was getting at. But yeah, Halo should be better because it's brand new. But aside from that, kind of way off topic from sci-fi, have you guys heard about the Bel Air show?
I saw a trailer for it.
Oh, I saw the trailers. Yeah,
I'm
I'm
already
okay. Yeah, it's
already
good.
4 episodes in. Watch it. I think we should discuss it next week or whenever you guys get time to watch it. But yeah, man, different take, but pretty good. I would highly recommend it.
Is Will Smith in it?
No, and that's
Lost
the best
all
part.
interest. Lost all interest. It's
Nah,
not even
man.
worth watching.
Give it a
Hey,
chance.
So,
Give it a chance.
I couldn't take Will Smith seriously.
It's not funny.
In it.
So that's
Yeah.
the first thing.
It's a
It's not
serious
it's
show,
not a
right?
funny
you
show.
guys
It's a
took
serious
everything
show.
good about Fresh Prince and you got rid of it, and now you
Yo,
think it's a
trust
better
me,
show?
just watch it. It's not the fact that it's not funny, but there's like they've kept some things the same, and so you're kind of like waiting for that you know, the character or
I
something to
think-
be said.
I
Trust
think
me,
Craig
watch
or
it.
Discord was onto something when it just kicked you out of this freaking conversation.
I think it
I
was
think
your
it knew I was gonna
production.
come
I
on
think
your
you did it
boat.
on purpose.
I think
Just
it
like
knew
the
I was-
mic issues, I think you sabotaged me. I feel back. COVID's not affecting
All I
me.
know
My
is
voice
the
is
best
back.
All I
My
knew was
thoughts
the
are
best
clear.
comment I saw was, "Yo, is this guy really calling in from a cell phone?" And I just went with it. I'm like, "Yeah, he is. He's calling in from a cell phone, talking to us from his basement.
I am talking to you from my basement.
You
That's
are from the basement, so that is
Dungeon,
true."
man. That's where you kill people. That's what it looks like.
All I see was a Stanley brother.
Okay.
On that note, I appreciate everyone who tunes in, all the
Peace
feedback
out.
we get,
Have a
everyone
good week,
who's
everybody.
comments and DMs us telling us that we're the best podcast ever. Y'all are goated. Keep it coming. Keep inflating our egos because it makes us want to do it more and more. Anything else you want to plug?
No, man. Peace out.
Yeah,
Peace.
watch me play video games on Twitch. Or no, I'm on YouTube now. Come check me out on YouTube. Till then, peace.